on everything, you know, and they do have very different perspectives on individual issues. And all that has to be represented. When you just cut it into some kind of two-party compromise system, then you're not getting the true. That's not we the people running the government. Okay, that's two parties running the government. That's two compromisers running the government. That's a bunch of like I said, because they're not representatives. They're system candidates. I don't even know what to call them. But just think about the implications. I mean, some people would hate the implications, because you're going to have these, Al Sharptons in the Congress, and you're going to have, you know, uh, Ku Klux Klan members. You're going to have all kinds of diversity and all kinds of tensions. But that's really what there should be there. I mean, that is America. America does have these different constituencies, and they all should be represented. They all should be seen. I mean, it's very good for our democracy, I think, for people to actually see what's behind some of these crazy, uh, legislation that's out there. I mean, why do we have a problem with immigration? Well, because there's all of these lies. The one party is this bleeding heart. Uh, you know, oh yes, we got to be, let all the people in, and we got to, love everybody. And it doesn't matter whether they're, you know, bringing their desperation into our country. It doesn't matter if they ruin our standard of life. It doesn't all this other stuff. And then you got this other side, who's just racist or just hates people that are poor or just hates this and hates that. And ironically, these two opposing ideologies have some side, they find a way to contrive a way to just keep making the problem worse. Okay, because they don't admit what the problem is. I mean, the Democrats, Republicans talk good talk. Let's build fences, let's stop the illegals, blah blah blah. Well, guess what? It was the Republicans who took immigration numbers from 200,000 and raised it to over 1 million. And there's the Republicans who let all these people in on what they call a temporary visa, which is a stupid idea, but they hand out millions of those, and guess what? All those legal, temporarily legal people, guess what? Their visas run out, they don't become citizens, and they become illegal aliens because they don't go back home. And that's the real problem. I mean, that's that real growth in illegal immigration is through legal means. They're not coming over, they're not crossing the border. They're flying here in a plane. And we don't do anything. Like I said, the two-party system is not going to fix that problem. Because the businesses have an interest, and the you know the liberals want the poor people votes, and so they're both playing the real majority in this country, and the real majority is going to be the loser. And the same thing happens with all this pork spending. All these representatives, because they're based on a geography, and they're all representing these narrow interests, of this, you know, based on geography, based on whatever dominates the geography, that dominates the politics. So I mean, if you live near an Air Force base, you might as well not bother to get going to vote if you have any kind of politics that's anti-war or anti-industrial, military and industrial complex, because you're never gonna see your candidate ever win, because that little local interest is going to dominate the local politics, and you're guaranteed to have a representative who's going to do everything he can to keep feeding that local institution, no matter how destructive it is to the national economy, or inefficient, no matter how wasteful the spending is. They're going to protect that, and that's pork barrel spending. We have this, it's a huge amount of money spent, huge amount of money wasted on this nonsense, because they all have to come up with a way, get more money to their district, more money to the employees and the people living in their district. And as long as we're involved in that competition, there's no winning. It's just like the competition between states. They start competing with each other to attract, rich people and businesses. So they keep making, concessions on taxes, and do this and create all these incentives, you know, to increase this desirable population that they want to attract. And in the end, who loses? All the regular people living in those states lose, because that kind of we're just competing against ourselves. It's like having a competition against your own brother. It just there's no winning, because we're basically screwing each other, our own neighbors, so to speak, uh, you know, for this short-term gains, and it's really not what politics should be about. Like I said, it should be about our ideology. It shouldn't be about our geography. It shouldn't be about our local interests. It should be about our human interests. I mean, like I said, if you're devoted to some local interest, well, you certainly should have the right to vote that devotion. But you shouldn't be allowed to steal, you know, somebody else's representation, somebody else's vote, to get what you want. And online on the website, I have a 10-point example of how you could run one of these elections, that allow for real choice, and allow this system to create real representation, and for us to have a much more mature democracy. I'm not saying my idea is the best way or the only way. I know it's a better way. I know it. And I know it could be improved. And I know we should be working towards that. We should be constantly attempting to improve these, this social infrastructure. We should, that should always be our mission. We should always be looking for a better future. And part of that is the idea that, yeah, we would expand